What's going on, good people? Welcome back to another episode of the Trading Challenge. Today is day number 20, May 5th, 2023. We made some trades today, so let's get into it. So, today was a very special day because today was the Non Farm Payrolls news announcement. So, that's what happened that led to this spike over here at 8:30. So, going into the Non Farm Payroll session, my goal was to make one good trade and then be done with it, and then come back at the market open and then trade like I normally do. That's usually my plan when it comes to news announcements because things are so volatile that I really just want to get one good move and then I'm done with it. So that was my philosophy going into the non-farm payroll. So let's start our analysis right there at 8:30. So we see that when the news came out, initially we had a spike to the downside that pushed us out of the zone. Now, this zone was drawn in the pre-market, and the market was pretty much just trending back and forth in between these two levels. So the top of the zone is 33,800, 33,380, and the bottom is 340. So prices were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was even a stronger zone when you look at it on the 5-minute chart. So we know that the zone is legit. So when the news spike came out, we pushed past, but immediately on the next candle, we came right back into the zone. So that's the setup that I've been playing for the past couple of weeks. That's been working very well. Is when you have a zone that's established and prices come back to reclaim those prices and come back into the zone, you want to participate in that move. So when I saw prices, and also what's important about that is the overall context of the market leading into that zone breakout. So the market was already in an uptrend in the pre-market. That's very important to take note of, which gave me more confidence going long back into the zone. So when I see prices reclaim the zone and come back into that zone, as soon as they push through, I want to go long and take prices back up to the top of the zone. So that's what I was able to do at trade one. I came in, I followed my plan exactly as I should, and I stuck to my rules. And I want to talk about having discipline in this moment because that was very, very important for me and a very key, I think, turning point for me throughout this overall entire week. So look at how after trade one, prices created a higher low right below the zone. Now, that's actually, let's go back to some of our previous days. That's actually something that I've been trading all week long. I want to show you guys a great example. Here it is. This is from May 1st of 2023 this year. So notice how at trade 20, we broke out of the zone, but once we broke out of the zone, we came back, created a higher low right below the zone, and that gave us enough momentum to push us back up into the zone. And that's where I went long at trade 23 as prices came back into the zone. So that's what I did at 23. So that's the exact same scenario that I saw today when prices were creating that higher low. Yeah, that higher low right there below the zone. So if this was the swing low, this right here, this whole, I guess, 3 candle combination would be considered the higher low right there, which gave prices enough momentum to come back and test the top of the zone. That's my setup, and that's my setup right there. But I had to remember my rules. My rule is when it comes to the non-farm payrolls or any news announcement that comes out before the market is open, I'm one and done, and that's it. Even if it is more opportunities, I still stick to my rule. So I'm so happy that I was able to have enough discipline to stick to my rules, even though the temptation was there. So that's a good job by me because if you guys remember yesterday's fiasco, the problem was I wasn't disciplined enough to stick to my rules. But today I wanted to come in and do everything I'm supposed to and none of the things that I'm not supposed to. And I think I did a good job of that overall. So after trade one, we see prices come back into the zone, create a higher low on top of the zone. So this is 2 higher lows in a row. This is the initial swing low, higher low right here, another higher low established on the bottom of the zone, which only solidifies and validates the zone even more. We came right back down and had the wick literally test right off the bottom of the zone. That's perfect. We broke out of the zone, created a higher low on top of the zone. That right there solidified the breakout. And then eventually we pulled back, created a double bottom on top of the zone, which led to a higher low, which eventually led to the uptrend continuing, and that's where we picked back up at 9:30 when the market opened today. So as soon as the market opened, huge spike to the upside with 4 straight candles. So we started at about 430 and we made our way all the way up to about 560 within the span of 4 minutes. So that's a pretty strong move right there coming off of the open. Now, after we had that strong spike, we established a little bit of a consolidation zone where we were able to create a higher low. Now, once the higher low got made, I drew my level of support off of the body for that higher low, and then prices moved higher. Now, when it comes to higher lows, once I draw my support level, I like to see prices come back, retest that level, and then that's where I would like to go long. Now, the retest in this occasion, it happened, but it happened on this green candle right here. Notice how it didn't necessarily come all the way back down to the level of support, but it did come back down, and the wick for that candle did test the closing price for that higher low that we were basing this entire support level on. So even though I didn't take the trade right there, I would say that that is a valid retest, and that's a long trade that you can take just going forward in the future. So even though I missed that one, let's look at what happened next. Notice how after the retest happened, we had this huge candle to the upside, and this huge candle actually started the formation of one of my favorite patterns, which I call a post pattern. So in a post pattern, you want to see, well, actually, let me go to my notes and break it down to explain it in detail for you guys. So let's go to chart patterns, post patterns. Okay. Let's see. Find a good one for you. Okay, so here's one. Now this example comes from December 4th, 2020. So notice how, first of all, you want to make sure that the trend is clearly defined, and you want to only trade a post pattern in the direction of the trend. So in this scenario, just like it was today, the trend is clearly defined as being up. There's no doubt about it. Everybody can see that. So then when you have, notice how this formation actually was very similar to what happened today, where we had a pullback. The first candle that retested the pullback led to the next big tall body, and that's actually the first candle that we look for when it comes to a post pattern. So in a post, you need the trend to be clearly defined, and you want to look for a tall body candle, right? So the tall body candle, it has to have preferably no wick at the bottom. It needs to open on its lows and move higher immediately. You really don't want to see a wick down here, and if it is a wick, it needs to be a wick like this candle. See how this candle has a little small miniature wick down here, but it's nothing to stress over. Perfect scenario though, you get a candle like this where there is no wick. You really don't want a wick at the top either, but a small wick is okay. That's not a big deal. But the larger the wick is, the less validation that post pattern has, and the lower the chances you have of being successful taking a long trade. So this candle is legit. No wicks on the bottom, barely any wicks on the top, and you want to see it get made on high volume and relativity to all of the other volume candles around it. Now this one clearly sticks out. It's no doubt about it that this is clearly the biggest volume spike within this general time period. So that validates the first candle. So that's what you want to look for on the first candle. Trend is clearly defined. Tall body candle with no wicks on the bottom or little to no wicks on the top that closes towards its highs on strong volume. Next, you want to see the second candle formation. So this candle right here has to be a much smaller body than the candle that came before it on the first tall body, because if the candle moves up too fast, that means that the move already happened. Because basically in a post pattern, what you're doing is you're trading a big tall spike to the upside, except instead of it happening on one candle like this one does, it's just broken up into much smaller chunks that all move up. So imagine if you took a candle like this and you just divided it into 1, 2, 3, 4 different chunks, and then you put them all next to each other minute after minute. That's what you would pretty much get with this series of 3 candles. It's the same as this candle, it just happened over 3 minutes instead of happening over 1 minute. So if the candle moves too far on the second candle, do not go long at the close of it. You want a small body candle like this. So let's actually go look at a couple other examples just to show you what I mean. Okay, so here's one. This is the post pattern, small body candle after that. This one happens on the downside, but the concept is still the same. Large candle, small body after that. Same thing with this one, large candle, small body afterwards. So those are some downtrending examples. But let's go back to our example we were talking about. So you want it to be a small body. Now, once that small body closes, it has to be a green candle, has to be. If it's a red candle, or if it's a doji, the post pattern is automatically invalidated. So it needs to close above the opening price for the tall body candle that formed first, and it needs to be a small body candle that closes green. After that candle closes, you go long immediately on the close. You don't waste any time. You immediately get in and you look to take it up to your profit target. Now, I use a 20-point scalp target, so that's where I look to take it. But with these moves right here, you can actually get a lot of points out of these, because you can hold these until you see either another large candle like the first one get formed, or until you see a large volume spike that tells you that pretty much the move has exhausted itself and everybody that wants to buy has already bought. So there's no more buyers in the market. It's time for us to take our profits where we can't. So that's what I like to look for when it comes to a post pattern, and that's actually exactly what I saw today, and that was the mindset I had going into trade number 2. So let's get back to today's chart. So everything pretty much formed perfectly. Tall body candle right here with little to no wick on the bottom, little to no wick at the top, that got established on higher volume. You see this volume bar right here. If you compare it to anything else in the session, it's the highest that it's been, and it clearly sticks out. And also, if you look at the volume, this is the highest volume candle that happened since this opening range got formed at 9:30 when the market opened. So anytime you have a candle that's the highest volume that's happened since the market opened, it's always going to be a significant moment in the market at those prices right there. So once I saw the second candle formation, it checked out. Everything was good with that, because we had a small body candle that closed on top of the closing price for the first tall body, and it closed green. So all of the factors that we look for in a post pattern were there. The trend was clearly defined. The trend was clearly up, no doubt about it. First candle, tall body, little to no wicks on the top or the bottom, that was made on high volume. Second candle, smaller body, green close on top of the first body, and we go long immediately after the close of that second candle. So that's what I did right here at trade 2, and I was able to take prices up to my scalp target 20 points higher, and after that I was done for today. So I think overall today was really good. I came in and I followed my plan to the T. Everything that I was supposed to do, I did it. Everything that I was supposed to avoid, I avoided it and stayed away from it, even though it was temptation that wanted to try and get me to do the wrong thing. I made the right decision today, and I'm so proud of myself, because yesterday I started off very good, very well. I did great, and then I just screwed it up on those last 8 trades that I took, and I knew what I was doing. I knew I was doing the wrong thing. I just couldn't stop myself. So I wanted to come back today, redeem myself, and get back to what I know I should be doing, which is following my trading plan and only taking the trades that fall within those guidelines. So I would say that going into today, this weekend's back testing session, my goal is to really focus on discipline and being patient. If it's not a setup that I like to take, then I'm going to pass on it and let somebody else take that trade. But if it is my setup and the market is forming the right way, I will, without hesitation, I will take my trades, and I will hold my trades and accept the risk that's going to come with taking my best setups. And I also want to focus on not only being patient and disciplined, but focus on my trend identification skills. Before you can be disciplined in a setup, you have to make sure it's the right setup and that you're identifying the market properly when you're looking at your chart. So those are the things that I want to focus on going into this weekend's back testing session. I want to really grind it out and work hard so that I can come back on Monday as a better trader. And I hope you guys are working on the same thing this weekend. So today is day 20. on Monday, it'll be day 21. I'll be back here at 9:30 a.m. sharp Monday morning. And until then, you guys take it easy. And girls,